Hello guys, today is January 14. It's a Thursday and you're watching me, Nikki, also known as Faces Trader, for the Awesome10X Philippine Market Update. How are you today? All right, the Philippine market is actually up 30 points, 7,273 points, up 0.4%. But as you can see, the market is actually very much on the move with some of your speculative names. If you take a look at the index stats, most of the top traded names continue to voyeur onto your FA, your ASEN, APL, DITO, MRC. Your top five are actually you would say they are alpha names because they are not index names. And then BSC already continued another 50%. Yesterday, we discussed BSC because of their disclosures and their comprehensive foray to actually go into the renewable energy sector. Your Merrimart is now up back again at 724, and you're seeing that your top 10, only BDO and BPI and Jollibee are actually index names. 70% of them are actually non-index names. So to tell you the truth, the market is heavily voyeuring into still a lot of speculative issues or alpha issues that are not index related. Meaning the market is seeing that the PSEi is quite high, therefore they're actually going into some non-index names. So let's take a look at some of these names. Despite extension after extension, what's going on with these names? Let's go to your Investograms for your charting. Then, for those who are not aware, you can actually go premier.wealthsec.net for only 100,000 pesos. So if you are already an existing WealthSec client, you can actually just upgrade and ask us. You can actually message us on WealthSec. How do you message us? Well, you can message me straight. How should I say this? I could give you my email, or if you want, just message us straight, and yeah, we can upgrade you if you're a WealthSec client. Just ask any WealthSec if you want to know, and then we can upgrade you premier.wealthsec.net so that it's so that even at 100,000 pesos, you're using the most the better interface, no? All right, so this one is the most traded, which is PHA ASEN. Let's take a look at that. So a couple of days, you can see that PHA continues to rally. You're now hitting at about 285, but more importantly, that is actually an extension after an extension. So take note that if you've sold at about 220, 240, or 280, can it stop at 5 pesos? I don't know. Like it could probably go 5, 6, 7, or even a 3 and end there. Whatever it may be, the momentum is still rising for the name, as you could see here on that breakout move above 2. But I'd say that this is really extended. How could you say that? Because 140 has doubled in just a week. And typically, even if people are already profitable here, I'd say that the temptation to take profits is also there. It doesn't mean that it will end, but I wouldn't think that people who have this are also not trailing their stops. So whatever your cost is, no, 20 cents or even at 40 cents, you're up very huge, 700% here. No matter if you entered at 80 cents, which is actually already extended if you ask me, but it still continued higher. It just tells you that people who are trading PHA are still very much in the game. But I would actually argue not to chase. Doesn't mean that I know the future, but I would rather not chase, and I would still voyeur into caution mode. Similarly, you're seeing that ASEN has now climbed back up. I guess people at the end of the day felt that 580 was a huge support, given that you have a support here at 5.5 and another support actually at about 4.5. So people started to buy up your ASEN today. Your ASEN or AC Energy has rallied back from about 580 to as high as 665 to close high at about 7%. Is that the first day, or do we actually retest this 6 pesos all the way to about 5 pesos even? I'd say that even if it rallied today, there should remain still that resistance at about 7 to 8. I don't think that's gone. And so even if it has rallied upward today, and I would say that some people are actually gonna buy some ASEN because of this move, I'd say that just be aware of the support and resistances. At the end of the day, these are extensions at the end of the day. You've got your stats, you've got your BSC as your top gainer. we already said that BSC looks to have broken multiple resistances. Indeed, that is true. Let's take a look at your BSC. So for those who aren't aware, BSC is Oscar de Venecia, and the president is trying for quite a long time to actually foray into renewable energy. That's why it's called basic energy. So they already have made plans and with Myanmar, diba? They put it in their disclosures. So what we can only say here is that for the longest time, we're talking about 7-year basis here, about 10-year basis even. It's not even 7 years. So you've broken a huge resistance at 40 cents, and you've broken a lot of resistances on the way of those ceiling. I don't know if it's going to continue higher, but you could see that the market has been paying up with volume, given that these foray moves were actually getting a lot of volume. So is this company going to hit $1, 1 peso 50 cents in the next coming days, or will it end? So typically, after a ceiling of 2 days, usually the third day, people would also another ceiling. Some people might sell. Meaning, if BSC goes up 150 tomorrow, you might see actually some people taking profit. Now, I'm not saying that this is really a resistance, but in the short term, given a tremendous 300% rise, even if you've entered about 50 cents, or even if you bought at 70 cents or 1 peso today, let's assume that you bought in today. I will assume that you are also a seller tomorrow, or a seller next week. Or if it falls, then I'd say that people might likely still buy. If it falls, I'd say a tremendous support still resides somewhere here at 60 cents, given this tremendous momentum. So you could see that there was a very strong movement, especially here on the ceiling place. Double ceiling here from about 50 to 75 cents and 105. So yeah, there was a lot of ceiling for this. So I'm not sure if it can sustain, but definitely people will take a look at 1 peso 50 cents as their initial target for the month or for the week. So very strong move for your BSC, and you could see that the market still likes it with 550 million value traded today. Very strong movement on your BSC. Now, your other small caps are still rising. You could see that your APL continued to rise. That is a name that had some selling pressure and then continued to go higher. Even if it has gone higher, I'd say that for most of these names, they're kind of extended. Apple, APL, Asen, Marimar, take note of them. Dito, what else? Yeah, so FA. Even if they continue higher, I'd say that most of them are actually extended names, unlike companies like maybe BSC and Sun. So among the other names that are rising in the top gainer space, I would say that the momentum would go to the newer ones rather than to the older ones, even if they continue to go higher. Meaning, even if APL continues higher, I'd say that if you notice on the top traded names and the top value gainers, your top gainers might still be for the next month or so, or even the next 3 months. It might be possible that the people who really have BSC might not sell it, even if it goes 100% or 200% the next couple of months. I'm not so sure. So I'm not quite sure if what we can say is that the top gainers in this round, especially since they are doing that renewable energy, might continue higher. I just don't know when it ends. Can it stop at 150, and then after 150, where does it go? Do it go to 2 peso or whatever, right? Yeah, and then take a look at these things. Your Sun continues higher, this 13%. Take note that for Sun, we have been arguing that Sun was actually a restructuring play. So given that this movement is actually nearing your all-time highs, we actually see this breakout really positive, right? So any day, a couple of days ago, it was mostly a bullish flag. And today, it just rallied again. So this was the flag, and then this was the bullish sign of the breakout at 190. And the people who really got in here at about 130, 140 truly knew that at some point in time, this consolidation will find a momentum move, no? So whether it ends at about 200% or 500%. You know, sometimes these movements can continue far beyond what we imagine. So example, this 140, can you actually predict that sun goes end at 5 pesos or 6 pesos? Where does it really end? I'd say that for now, we know that the momentum is on the bullish side, and 2 peso buyers all the way down are actually very bullish and very much in the money, such that, in my view, the people who have sun will just hold on to this. Where would your resistances lie? Let's take a look at the resistances of sun, SUN. For the last coming months, you could see that not a lot of resistance, except perhaps, tingnan natin let's try to see where the resistances would be. There would be resistances here at about 4 and about 3.6. You have resistances there, but after this 2.4, that's your resistance. So you could see that the market is heavily supporting this 130 area, made a breakout there, and added more here at about 2. No matter if it goes to 280 or 360, let's let the market decide, okay? So people who have sun should continue to hold on to their shares. Let's see whether you actually hit 5 pesos in the next coming days or weeks. Let's see about that. Now, yeah, so some of the names here are usually papitek-pitek. They're not always being traded. So I think that between the top traded names, let's go to your index first, no? But really, the market has been voyeuring into your non-index names. Your PSEi is 10.2 billion. You've got 107 advancers, 121 decliners. You've got foreign net buyer at 242. The market sentiment is bullish, but largely concentrated on very few names. If you read a lot of the index movers, which we'll do today, JG Summit 74, SM Prime 40, BDO 113, Globe 2130, Security Bank 138, PLDT 1453, BPI 86, Metro Bank near 50 again, your URCs 156, Luciatan Group 13.7, Pure Gold 38.4, Bloomberry 815, AEV 46.6, ICT 124, Robinson's Land 22, MPI 435, Mega World 430, Robinson's Retail 6375, Emperador 10, FGen 3175, DMC 536, AGI 10 bucks, San Miguel 127, Ayala Land 40, Aboitiz Power 26, SM 1077, Jollibee is 197, GT Cap 556, Meralco 290, AC 828. As you could see, the market, our ranges is just within the 1 to 2%, no? So not a lot of movement actually in your index, which tells you that the majority of the market is not in the index. It doesn't mean that the index is falling. What it actually means is that the index is consolidating. It's finding an equilibrium. The index doesn't want to go higher, and the index doesn't want to go lower either. So it's in a stalemate. This is what's happening in your PSEi. It's unable to break out, right? But it's unable to break down either. So you're seeing an apathy zone here. From about 6.9 to 7.5, that is about something in the realm of a price range of 10%, right? Around 8% in your index. So typically, an 8% in the index would tell you that some issues would be up 20% or down 20%. And while your index is likely to slumber within this range, this lethargic range, you call it the apathy zone. Usually in an apathy zone, most of the index participants have either sold or they are just holding on. So they'd either buy it when they know that they're confident that it's going to go higher. The reason why it's just there, sleeping there, is nobody's confident that the market will go higher. And nobody is confident to assume that the market will also go lower. That's why it's just steady in a range. So, ganyan nangyayari. So, for the last November, December, even January, you are seeing this really sleepy slumber of your PSEi. Whether this breaks down or breaks out depends, in my view, on how your SM and Ayala, on how your financials will really do well or do badly upon earnings front. So if the earnings is bad, likely see scenarios of a potential 10% drop, let's say another 8%. So let's give you some scenarios so that you are planning for your positions. If you are looking at the market correction back to about 6.4, then either March or April or May, you are already preparing your cash for a potential buying area there. If that were true, then your reward from about 6.3 indeed to 7.5 over time would be a substantial 20%. Now, if you're wrong that it doesn't fall and it actually sleeps and slumbers somewhere here in the zone of 6.9 to 7.5, while the market actually gets more risk on as the COVID pandemic eventually really ends and we have a vaccine and all of these things, we eventually go back to the sleepy range of about 8.2. Take note that here, even the today's risk reward gives you just a 1:1. So it means that that 1:1 risk reward ratio is not conducive for the buyers today, because you could see that with a reward of about 8.2 and with a risk of 6.9 or 6.4, buying at 7.2, you're actually just in the middle ground. You're not in the best risk reward. You're just in a sleepy slumber. So the index has been doing nothing for the last maybe 7 years. You could notice that from 2013 till 2021, 8 years, the index has done nothing from about 6,000 to 8,000. You call this just a range. So what it means that when you have a range is that you buy low near 6,000, but you sell high near 8,000. So at 7,000, you're actually just mostly in the, you're just mostly in the risk reward, just neutral, right? So if you take a look at your index names, like your SM Prime is now trading at 41 or 42, should you actually load up the boat? I'd say no. You should actually be trimming, right? So the fact that people are trimming these names or trimming some of their Ayala lands, trimming their SM, it's really just a large part because the index is not expected to go higher. And even if it does go higher, your reward is limited to as much as 10%. Let's say it goes 42 to 46. You could be right that it goes higher, right? But if you sell at 40, what are you truly giving up? You are giving up a potential upside of 10% at the risk that it falls back to about 36, right? So there is always a risk, but in my view, looking at the index format right now, there are very few pockets of opportunity, except perhaps you're buying, and I think that is the reason why people have been voyeuring into these risk assets. They're not really investing. I'd say that people buying ceiling items of BSC, like 50% moves, is not an investor. That is very much a speculator. So expect people after a 50% ride here and a 50% move there and a potential 50% up tomorrow, or just 10 or even 10% up tomorrow, I do expect that there will be some resistances appearing because, you know, at the end of the day, making 10%, even just 10% in a single day is huge if the only game in town are a few. So I think that is what's happening in the market. The fact that your top 7 names in the value traded are mostly non-index tells you that the market is largely in these names. Just FA, ASEN, Merrimart, Dito, APL, trading BSC, trading Sun, and so forth. So let me just watch some of your questions. ASEN SRO subscription is now available, and I already subscribed. Kasi ang taas ng position ko, and I'm transitioning to global stocks to keep the winners. Here's the thing. You'll notice that ASEN is a winner, indeed. But you'll have to be aware that even winners, let's say BSC, whether it be BSC, whether it be Dito, whatever you own, right? Whether you have FA, it's not about, oh, it's a winner, so I just buy it and keep it, right? It depends on your risk reward at the end of the day. The people who got in their ASEN as low as 230, you notice this was 230, 220, right? They were buying somewhere in June, July, here. Assuming that you were a little bit late by 20%, you entered about 240 or 250, right? You were still even buying at the all-time high, which was 270 or $3. Actually, that was 320. I'd say that eventually these people, even if they bought at 2, and let's say they added more at 7, that would be around 7 plus 2 or 9 divided by 2 or 4.5. At some point, the people would actually try to sell their high-end shares. So you would really have a resistance here. So today's rally of 665, in my view, is it's not like parang, okay, I buy it today and then forget about it. It's not, because it's still an extension. At the end of the day, it's a pullback after a move, but that is still an extension. Therefore, wouldn't you say that there will still remain this this was an insane move, right? From about 5 to 10, which is a 100% move in a week. It should likely get some resistances at the end of the day, whether it be 8 or 9 or even 10. So what you're seeing actually in the market is that chasing is wrong, even if it goes higher. Meaning, if you buy, let's say, PHA 2.5, 2.8, you're up, right? Okay, let's say yesterday you bought it at 2.4, and then today it's 2.8. If you're not quick in these types of fast moves, you can also get fast moves on the upside, but fast moves on the downside. It's not, these extensions are very fast because, look, 1 peso to 3 peso happened when? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. So I'm not pretending that people who have BSC aren't gonna take profit at some point in time. It could take profit at 5 pesos for all I know, right? Like BSC would go 5 before people take profit. But you have to be aware. You just simply have to be aware that these fast moves can also risk more on the upside, but also risk on the downside. It's not like a free pass. It can go up, it can also go down. So be careful when you're buying. And so it's better to not buy when the risk-reward ratio is actually not in your favor. Whether it actually transpires to be 100%, if you have to risk 50% of your money to make 100%, I still think that is not a good risk-reward. With the COVID-19 new variant effect already priced in, is it priced in on Macro Asia? Macro Asia right now is trading near 6 pesos, right? In my view, you've got a higher low in Macro Asia. As you know, Macro Asia, in my view, is in a range trade. So this has a lot of resistances at 9 and 10. It's very clear here. You've got this resistance, 9 and 10. That was this support that is now turning into your resistance. So that is a resistance here and another resistance here. Now, despite that resistance, you'll notice that it could actually be a higher low. Diba? This one is a higher low. So the chances for it to break above that 9 area or $10 or 10 pesos, sorry, is still well aware. And the reason why it's going to break out above is because the company is still operating despite travel bans and everything, right? So you have to assume that Macro Asia will have a better 2021, 2022 after the COVID era, after the variant. So when the question is it priced in? To be honest, it could fall. At 6, it can go to 5.5, but it could also be a higher low there, in which case it means that the market finds it stronger rather than weaker. All you know is that if you're going to ask me, these are higher lows. It's not going to go $4. It's not going to go $3. But can it go 5.50? At 6, it's really okay. It's possible. But should you be scared? I'd say that it's more about risk-reward. There are people who'd actually like to buy it at 5 for the reward that it actually goes to 7 or 8. Diba? So with risk-reward on your side, depends on the price that you enter. I'd say that any drops back to about 6 or even at 5.6 is actually more of an opportunity rather than a risk. So, iba-iba lang talaga ng thinking, guys. Some people like to chase momentum names. Some people like to just position names on risk-reward na, oh, okay na to. I just buy it and I keep it. Usually kasi, if you are the person who are buying Sun, example, at 130, you weren't really assuming that it's gonna go 230 tomorrow, right? All you knew was, okay, Sun had a consolidation, and then it looks like it's gonna go higher. The risk is it goes 110 and my money sleeps. But if I'm right, it goes 2, 3, 4. So ganun lang yon. Kanya-kanya talaga yan. The market is dependent talaga yan sa tao. Some people would have bought, there are people who would just read the news and then gusto nila yung mabibilis. So nakita nila, BSC. So ganon, depende yan sa tao, di ba? Hi, IRC, ASEN, Holcim dito, ACR, RCI, ANS, SSP, ang dami. APL is extended. ASEN is siguro trading range trade yan. Dito, trading range. Let's answer some of the names. IRC, ACR, RCI. So lahat to, speculative names. IRC, so may subway, hindi natuloy. Ano nangyari doon? We don't know. But for now, we can see na, okay, uptrend siya. But marami siyang resistance, no? You've got these resistances so far. Pwede tayong abutin ng 5 taon na resistance dito. 2020 to 2025, these resistances, 2 pesos. These resistances, 177. It's still below 177, telling you that the resistance there continues to continue to stay, no? You'll need a lot of disclosures to reverse this downtrend. Usually, after a move from 298 to 60 cents, no? Bumagsak siya sa 60 cents, umangat na siya sa 180, triple. Whether it goes back to 180, you have to assume na may breakout reason yan. Hindi yan magbe-breakout without a real, you know, it's not, I don't know what would inspire it to break above 180. So for you to buy at 140, example, let's say you're buying Philippine Infra Dev here at about 139 today, your risk is okay, it probably goes to 129, diba? Possible yon. Pwede bumagsak ng mga 10-20%, balikan tong 112. Pwede to, all the way to 112. But at the same time, ano na to kanya-kanyang basa na to If there is support here at 112, pwede to mag-range back to 180. So that would be an 80% range for the next 6 months or 12 months. Possible din yon. Or pwede yan mag-expand ng range. Pwede yan diretso, mag-2, mag-2.4. Kung chart lang, mahirap. Kasi ang hirap magbasa ng chart. Kailangan meron kang alam na fundamentals behind a company. I mean, ako personally, I would bet big if I understand the fundamentals. But if I don't understand much, wala, okay lang. Kahit mag-50%, bale, okay lang. ACR parang, anong kwento ba nito? Bigyan niyo ako ng news kung may importanteng news. Pero, tulog. Tulog lang siya. So, ACR is consolidating from 1 to about 1.5 for the last maybe 10 years. Tulog siya, 2011 to 2021, 10 years. So, until that 10-year resistance at 150 breaks, I think it just stays within a 50% range for ACR. RCI, also, wala. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen here. You've got a downtrend for the last 10 years, 2010 to 2020. 8 peso goes to 1 peso. I have no idea how to inspire that 1 will go to 2. I have no magic crystal ball, so no idea. I think like most of these names have gone, I don't know, 90% down, and unless you know a news about them to really change their fortune, I'm not sure what will inspire people to see a V-shaped reversal on these companies after falling, say, 70-80%. So SSP, the question was SSP, 3 pesos, fell to about 60 cents or almost 80% down. 60 cents goes up to 160. I still don't see anything here. I don't know what's going to happen. There is a downtrend. I don't see anything. Wala lang. Hindi ko alam, 130 to 180 forever? Hindi ko sure. So those types of things, I really don't know much. So I can't say anything with these names. There are a lot of questions, so I'll just like handpick na lang the questions that I think would make better video, no? Hello from Toronto. I'll answer your question later on global markets. Thank you. I think your question is on CCIV and ACTC, whether Lucid Motors or Proterra. I think both are good, actually. Hi, Nikki. Fruit and SSI. ACR has ventured into hydroelectric power. In Awesome10X, you recommend any PSE stock that might grow 10x this year? Mm, I I like I like the sector on clean energy. So generally speaking, AC Energy, and Nickel Asia was something that I gave a 10x recommendation. And usually when I give a 10x recommendation, it has to do with really long-term analysis. It's not like, oh, 5 quarters, 4 quarters. Okay, up na siya, 500% na siya eh, tapos na eh. Actually, it's not. If it's really a good company, then you want to actually accumulate it if it goes back down, as long as the thesis is there. Sometimes you'd sell kasi overstretched na overvalue yun na yan. But it doesn't mean that just because it got 300, 500% up isn't true that the trend has ended. So I'd say that nickel companies are actually possible. Like that's why even if ASEAN has rallied strongly, even if it might trade a range next couple of months, di ba? I believe, if you ask me, wala naman, I don't need to do an inner circle for that. For Philippines, I just blurt it out here on YouTube kasi mostly the inner circles about global markets. We're not really talking much about Philippine issues. Eh. But if you take a look at these names, yeah, I would understand why Nickel Asia broke 5. Can it track 9 from 1 going to 1.5 going to 9? Can it go there? It's more of sa totoo lang, Nickel Asia is just a 10% It's just a 10% beneficiary of the electric vehicles eh. The really big move is not in nickel eh. In my view, it's really in lithium. Lithium talaga yung galaw. Lithium yung 80%. Hindi talaga nickel. Pero siguro sa Philippines kasi walang ibang commodity, kaya Nickel Asia yung napusuan ng market kasi kulang ka ng companies in the market eh. Kulang yung selection mo eh. So Nickel FNI, you've got, sabihin na natin kung nickel yung mark din, umangat din. So in reality, I'd say that these trends have more leeway to go higher, but primarily, I think, led by your Nickel Asia. So if you had a choice, what would be the next 5 months or even next 5 years na trend? Ano yung magtre-trending sa Philippines? Most likely, ito yung mga in the next 5 years. Kung bumaba man to ng 4 or 5, I think there's a real buyer. Legit yung buyer. Nickel and FNI. So if you're asking me, nickel FNI, mga ASEAN, ganyan, meron talagang buyer yan. So, but Philippine outlook, I'd say, nasa 1:1 yung risk-reward ratio mo ngayon. Hindi ka you don't have a huge risk. You don't have a huge reward. Pure Gold is a good question because Pure Gold and actually Robinson's Retail, in my view, are mostly in the oversold region. So parehas yan, in my view, na pwede yan amongst index, masyado siyang binentahan for no reason, in my view lang. So even if it has fallen back to 63, my point is, if you don't see it going down to 57, or even if it does, I don't see a problem. IPO at 58, supported at 58 here, supported at 58 here again. If Robinson's Retail actually falls back to 58, I'd say that there will be sobrang daming multiple supports even in the next 5 years, such that even if this is not the next idea, ito yung mga companies na hindi mo pagsisisihan to buy. Like 63, you buy, 64, bagsakan ka man ng 57, okay lang. And then, akyat yan. Eventually, akyat ng 70 or 68 man lang. You don't make a lot of money, right? 10, 20%. Versus the rest, I'd say some people don't like it kasi ang pangit eh. Risk reward mo 20%. Sometimes for some people, nabababaan sila talaga sa reward potential na 10 to 20%. Which I agree. That's why nag-global tayo because, hindi rin ako, making 10 to 20%, indeed, it's not that huge of a return. So let's say you buy 38, which I think is a good support. Anyway, kung bagsakan ka man, 36 dito, di ba? Ang daming support niyan. Kung bumaba man yan ng 33, hindi ko yan alam mo yun, I wouldn't be mad. Actually, I'll be happier bagsakan mo ng 33, di ba? 32. So the lower actually that pure gold goes, 36 and 32, we're gonna hit like 5 years, 10 years worth of support. So the lower it goes, gaganda yung reward. The more it falls, 32 to 48, ang ganda nun. Now, I'm not sure if it's gonna go 32, pero 36, actually kahit 38, bilhin mo na yan. Tapos kung bumaba pa yan ng 36, ganda ng reward, 30%. Yan yung mga, actually, I would be preferring to buy because walang problema. Kumbaga, okay lang sa akin to make 20%. Kung mabagal bibilin ko lang, tapos papatulugin ko lang, hindi ko napapansinin. Do you think BSE will continue its momentum? Possible, kasi after 2 ceilings, you usually have another 50% up. Or even if it's not sustainable, why will it not be sustained? Because the people who bought today would probably sell it tomorrow as well. So you would see volatility. Pwede siya mag 150, tapos hindi ma-sustain. Pwede rin mag-sustain. So pwede rin 1.1, tapos bagsak na siya, back to 60 cents. So I think like for BSE, it's more of a question mark rather than to be bullish about it. You can't be bullish, but neither could you be bearish, because that kind of movement, those are actually movements that people would be willing to buy and see where it goes. It's not parang I buy and then tomorrow it goes 50% down, wala lang. It's not like that. Chances are if you bought at 1, willing ka to see it fall 50% then. 50% down for a 50% up. I think that's the kind of movement that people in ceiling world are really doing a risk of 50-50 yan. Parang ceiling ba bukas? Possible. Ceiling or not. 50-50 yan. Any plans on moving Awesome10X to Discord? I'm asking due to Viber being blocked where I am right now. We have Slack, which is not going to be banned anywhere. So you can use our Slack, you can use our Zoom. Actually, Viber, you can just do VPN. So we have clients wherein they're from Saudi Arabia and you're still using UAE, United Arab Emirates. They are using Viber with us. End of the day, inside Awesome10X, we do a lot of transcripts, hashtag transcripts, hashtag cheat sheets. So you can actually copy. It's not a problem. It's very easy. All you need to do is join our channel and then you'll enter the Slack. So even if you can't access Viber, it will be summarized for you. You don't have to have access. Although I would agree that some people like the Viber stream of consciousness from me. They appreciate how I think, how I generate some ideas. So that's what you're missing when you're not in the Viber room inside the Awesome10X Inner Circle. Do you recommend the trading code by Jason Cam for PSEi only? Personally, in terms of books, I'd say na okay naman siya. I've read the trading code by Jason Cam, but it's not the only one. I'd say that siguro for people, kasi most Filipinos, they like Philippine examples. But when it comes to trading naman kasi, trading books are abundant, diba? You've got everything online. You need to learn anything that you can on YouTube. Like if you really are adamant to learn it, diba? YouTube, mag-PDF ka lang, mag-ebooks ka. It's very basic. I'd say that it lays out the foundation. That's good. And when you want to learn about candlestick charting, I mean, you can just watch online shows, and I think like YouTube has a lot anyway. So to be honest, you can read and learn or watch whatever you want. So it's not a problem. Facebook user is asking FNI and Frutas. I think FNI will follow Nickel Asia. Uptrend yan. And then for Frutas, I think that it's still a question mark. For Frutas, although there is a huge trend here naman, yes, it's broken that 168. I think the question talaga for the next couple of maybe 5 years really is, did Frutas successfully innovate such that they are there for the post-COVID world? If they are, pasok yan, 3, 4, 5, diba? But if hindi rin. So I think that the question is not about the chart At some point in time, tapos na yan, nakabili na iba sa 130. The question is, hahawakan ba nila yan hanggang mag 2.6? Hahawakan ba nila yan or nagtatapon na sila sa 1.9? Nagtatapon na sila sa 1.8? Tapos na ba yan? So makikita mo may resistance sa 2.1, may resistance sa 1.9, pero it's a question mark. At the end of the day, guys, the future is a question mark. Ganyan yan, question mark yan. Is it an uptrend or pwede naman natin i-drawing na pa ganito rin? Ay, bagsak. You cannot know. Kasi ano yan you're gonna have to make an assumption about the future of Frutas, which I don't know about. Alam mo lang, okay, uptrend ngayon, kung position mo 130, pero pag bibili ka sa 175, sigurado ka magdodos. Sigurado ka mag 250 or pwede mag 150. Hard to say, 'di ba? So I have a question mark. I don't know what the future is. So hindi siya clear sa akin. So ganun lang. I'm just not clear on it. What's going on with DMC? DMC, I think, is in a range. You've got a lot of bargain hunters at 5, but they also know na, okay, maraming resistance at 6. Possible bagsakan ng 5, 5.1, pwedeng mag 5.2. Right now, it's 536. You just really have a large range. DMCI would have a large range. It could even hit 4.5, just like what you're seeing in a lot of index issues. I think that right now, the index would have a range of about 10 to 20%. Yun lang. Thank you very much. It's 40 minutes already. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share PSEi updates of Philippine market updates for Awesome10X. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.